You can see this is where the valves are. Welcome back to Repairing Lawnmowers for Profit. We've got a bit of a dilemma this week. I'm just wondering what to do really with this SP470. So I mentioned before, these are my favourite types of mowers. I should be a bit embarrassed because this one's cleaning up really, but we're just looking out to film some videos today, and we thought, well, what can we film that we've not seen before? And it's quite difficult, so as I've said, I've covered a lot of things on the channel. But basically my own lawnmower is looking a bit untidy, and if I'm honest, it's got loads and loads of spare bits on it off all sorts of different mowers. I've literally stripped bits off it to fix others and sell them for profit. This isn't the even original engine that came with it. This is just an engine I've bolted on. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to hybrid this. I'm basically going to take what are the best bits off this one, off my old one, and put them onto this new one, because this is in much better condition. So what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to take my belt guard off the bottom because this one's broken. I'm going to take my blade off because it's only about 1.5 to 2 years old, and I'm going to put all the best bits off this lawnmower, which isn't many, on this one, and swap them over. I'm actually going to keep this lawnmower. I really do like these SP470s. This starts and runs really well, and I'll say we've just started the drive out. The other thing I've noticed as well, it's got a better handle on as well. It's actually got these metal handles on it. It hasn't got these plastic ones on, which are all a bit naff. And this is just looking a bit untidy. Even the wheels have got absolutely zero tread on, and these have got some on. So I'm going to take a few parts off this, swap them over, and get this one as good as I can get this to keep it for myself. And I'm going to sell this one. I probably won't get as much profit for it, but it's looking a little bit untidy. So we'll service them both, make sure they're both running perfectly, make a really good one out of this one, and we will put this back together the best we can and sell this. I might even give it away to my local allotment, or I might even strip it down for some spares and sell them separately on eBay. Right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to tip this one on its side. I'm going to take off the blade adapter and the belt guard underneath. I'm going to keep those components and swap them over to this, because I noticed one pin was missing on the blade adapter on this, and I've actually got a brand new one in the garage. I might just swap it for a brand new one. So I want to get this one as good as I can get this, so it can last me basically another, what, I don't know, 10-15 years. So while I've got everything off this one as well, I'll probably paint the underside of the deck. I'm really going to make this one as good as if I was selling it for someone else, just to keep for myself, because it just feels nice and solid. So let's grab this. Got a change, look. I got my garden outfit on. Does anyone else have a garden outfit? I have to have a garden outfit. Let's whack that there. Let's take this off here. Right. Let's get some tools out, mate. You film under there, you can see our blade. And we've still got the belt guard cover on as well. And the blade adapter on this, look at that. Absolutely perfect with the pins on, so we probably will just use that one. So, as this is my own mower, hopefully I can get all this off straight away. Usually, I can get a lot of stuff off with this Ryobi impact as well. Under here as well, there's some screws here that hold this belt cover in, and hopefully I can get that off. Hopefully when I put this back in, I'll use some new screws, because I know how hard this is to get off. So I'm going to try and just get this off. That's a good start. I've got the blade off there. I'm going to get a wire brush in here, clean these screws off, and I'll show you what they look like. Right, so luckily previous mower man has used a decent screw in there so he can get it back out again, so that's good. So these should come out alright. I should be able to get this belt guard cover off. I managed to get this one as well. For some reason this has got a flathead screw in it, but either way I managed to get it off, no problem. Sometimes this takes forever, so I've got the world's smallest screwdriver to get it off with, but that's fine. That's coming off. Belt guard cover off.
I didn't get all that.
Right, so let's get this belt guard cover off. I'll just whip this bolt off here. This nut, I should say, off here. Don't want to lose the washer. I shouldn't do this on the grass really. Just do it on the path really. Look at that bit of grass in there. But not too bad, because I've regularly maintained this at the end of each season. There's not much in it. So we've got that. This belt's looking a bit worse for wear as well. I've probably swapped that for somebody else. I'll tell you what I'll show you while you're here as well. what I wanted to show in the last video, you see this here, the drain bolt for the oil underneath. You can see under there, if you undo this here, you can actually drain the oil out the bottom. So the easy way to do this is just get your ratchet like this. You can just put this in like that without having a socket on the end, and you can undo this. Once you undo this, basically all the oil drops out the sump. You can get absolutely everything out really quickly. So that's one way of doing it if you don't want to tip the mower over, which you shouldn't be doing. You can either extract it, tip it over, or you can get it out from underneath. Right, so I'm going to get this blade adapter on. If you get right down here, mate, they're on the side of me here. You should really use a puller, but if you tap it down with a hammer, you can do this. So if you just get a hammer in this side of here, you can usually get these off. In the back of here somewhere, there's a keyway as well. It feels like it's stuck in that shaft, so I'm going to leave that there. But I've got a blade adapter there with 2 pins on, which is exactly what I wanted. I've also got the belt off as well, just for now, so I can clean the underside of this deck for the new owner. While I'm here, and take the belt off, I'm just going to go around here. Don't forget, I might sell this one on. I want to make sure this is clean underneath as well before I put the parts off the other one back on this mower. So one thing you might have seen in previous videos as well, that's just stopped this deck rotting for the 20 years I've had the mower, is that I've painted this underneath. It's had loads of layers of paint on every year. I've just given it a coat of whatever I've got in the garage. So I'm going to do that with my new mower as well, just to protect this. I'll give all this a good clean off. You haven't got a wire brush. It comes in handy for so many things. And I don't know if you noticed on the one that I picked up yesterday, this belt guard was with it, but all of this is snapped, so there's no way of putting it back on, which is why I want this one, because it's still got these screw holes here. You can get everything in. When we get the pressure washer out, we can get make a really good tidy job of that as well. So the next thing I want off is this exhaust guard, because it's broken on the other one. So I've probably got one of these in the garage. I've kept quite a few bridge bits, so I'm going to take that off. I mentioned on a previous video the exhaust ones, I've often got like a part around here that's bigger to hold everything together. So make sure if you use that, take that off, make sure you use that again for the exhaust. So take that one off, and then on the front here you can actually get this off with a flat-headed screwdriver. But this part here, if you're ever putting one of these back on, this snaps really easily. So I'm just going to get, I'm not even going to do this with the impact drill as well. I'm just going to get a socket. I'm not even going to use a screwdriver. I'm going to get an 8mm socket on that. I'm going to undo it, hopefully, if I get this the right way. I'm going to take that off. These are so easy to break. I really don't want to break this, because I want to get another exhaust guard before I sell this on to someone else to make sure it's safe. I don't want to break that off. I'll take that off there. And there's not that many bits on this mower really that are better than the one I'm going to be keeping, so I'll take that off. We've got an exhaust guard and we'll put that on there. So next thing, I'm going to take off this as well. I'm going to have this plug out of here. Probably got a new one, but this has only been in probably since last year, so I'm going to take that out. Probably clean that up with a wire brush. That's not looking too bad. We'll pop that in there. That's another part off. In fact, let's just have a look at this lead, David, on this other one, see what we've got. Let's have a look at this while we look. See, there's no way of getting this back on because it's actually snapped off. Someone's probably tried to lever under here to get the belt off, to get the belt back on, I should say. And if I remember back to the Facebook message, he said it probably the blades want setting up again underneath or something, the belt or something. And it makes sense now. I think what he realised, he probably realised the belt had slipped off. So plug, that lead looks alright, doesn't it? This carb is a white carb. I'm not sure if it's aftermarket or not. We'll have a look at that when we take it off and see if there's any other bits, but really there's not a lot else. Let's have a look at the back. Grass box is definitely better on this one. It looks a bit more modern to mine. Mine's like a cloth one though, so it folds down. The only advantage of this one is that if you wanted to store it, it actually squashes down, so you can make it a bit smaller. So I'll have a think about that. Right, so we've got this other mower under here. What I'm probably going to do with this, I'm probably going to take the engine off this, just so I can tip the deck upside down. I want to make sure that it's not starting to rot through, because there's a lot of stuck on grass under here. I want to make sure it's in good order. So to do that, I'm going to spray under here Where's my cameraman gone? Hi there. I'm going to spray this lot under here. If you can get this WD-40 to work like that. Give these engine parts here, mounts, a bit of a spray up and a bit of a scrape off with this wire brush. And I'm going to get these undone. I'm going to take the engine off. As I said, I'm going to make a really good job of this mower because it's going to be mine for the next good few years, so I want to make this as good as I can get it. Right, let's get this blade off here. Take that off there. This blade actually don't look too bad either, but I know mine's new. In fact, there's not much of an edge left on that. That's really blunt. But I noticed on mine as well, I haven't got this circular disc here, so I really need to make sure all these parts are back on when I put this back on. So that's there. We know we can get the blade adapter off because we got it off the other day, didn't we? Let's put the belt back on. So I'll have a bit of a fiddle under here like this, and we'll nudge this off. Try not to lose the keyway again like I did the other day. That's there. We don't have to go back in the back cave, do we, and find another one? Do we, mate?
Nope.
Put that there. Whip this belt off again. We'll compare which belt's best. That blade adapter's broken there, so I'm not putting that back on. And then I'm going to get a 10mm socket and try and unbolt this. Try and unbolt this engine and take this off. Might seem a bit of a long way around, but it's easy when you can get the deck upside down in the garden. So let's have a look round here. Come round this side, mate, if you want, and you can maybe see a bit better. If I get the right size socket, can I get that off? Right, so let's try and undo this with a 13mm socket. So a lot in there. That's undone. Not sure if that's right or not. That might be smaller, that one. That one's done as well. So I've got two of them. That's just about there. I'm not sure why that one doesn't really fit. That one's maybe not quite the right size. It should still come off, it's not the best fit. I know why. Because it's spinning on the top, I need to get a spanner on the top of this one to stop it spinning round. I'll show you. So I need to get a socket on the top of here, one on the top, one on the bottom to stop this spinning round, and I can take this off. This is when it comes in really handy just to have one of these Halford socket sets like this. Because you can just make up parts like this. Because, just for example, while I'm here, I'll show you. When you're trying to get in and you've only got a basic thing, you know, I'm trying to get this on, I can't get in, and you probably can't get a spanner in, but when you've got some extensions and things like that and you can just put them on, I can literally just put that on there to hold it. I can get in underneath and I can undo this now. Right, so holding this socket on the top and one on the bottom, just need to turn this on the ratchet the other way, like that. And I've got this off. You see there? We've got all three off. And if you look at the top now, you'll see that this engine's actually starting to become loose, and we can take this off. So the next job is to get the cover off, because I need to unhook these cables really before I take this engine off, otherwise it's going to be connected to the handle still. You can tell someone's really tried to take good care of this, because they've even kind of glued the decal back on. So under here you'll see there's actually a Torx. You need to get a Torx in there, one on the back. It's all covered in grass, so we need to rake that out first, get the cover off. And the reason I'm taking the cover off is I want to get to this under here and actually unhook this from the kill switch. Need to get down to these screws in here. So everything's just covered in really dry grass, isn't it? Must have had a good go with this. It hasn't rained for ages. So as usual, what should be a simple job turns into one of the hardest ones. If you look under here, someone's tried to stick this decal back on, and this head of this Torx was actually full of like glue, so we've had to scrape all that off. Eventually we've got that one off as well, so we can lift this off and out of the way. Let's just get this screw out of here before we can't get it out. I'll get that out. That's there. And the only reason I really wanted that off was to be able to get to this part here on the back. So I need to undo this cable here. So the way you can do this here, if you get some long nose pliers in a second, we'll nip that. I might be able to do it with my fingers. You squeeze this in. So this is awkward to do sometimes. You've got to turn this until you see there's like the two parts that need nipping together. I'm going to try and grab this with these pliers. It's hard because I can't see too good. Basically grip it and you can pull this cable back out of here. So with a little bit of fiddling around, you can pull this back here. You've got to get that out of there so you can unhook this part here. If you can't do it, another tip is on the handle here. If you ain't got enough flexibility, undo the bolt on the handle to give yourself a bit more slack on the cable. So we'll get that out of the way. Hopefully get this last bolt out from under here. Shoot that out. Oh, I probably left one on actually, so it didn't fall off on me. I'll put that one back on here because that was part of the belt guard underneath, so we'll take that there. I can take this off here and out of the way. We're getting a bit more in depth here, aren't we now? What I want to do is I want to look at this depth underneath. I'll turn this right over now. We can get this a really good clean off and get all this out of here. And I want to make sure that this isn't starting to rust through. Let's have a look under here. We get all this off under here like this. Get down to the metal, clean it all off and paint this and make sure it's in good order, otherwise I'm definitely not going to swap this over. You can see just how much this builds up if you don't paint this and clean this off underneath. Alright?
Yep.
So hiding under these SP470s you've got probably the most popular lawnmower engine of all time, this 35 classic Briggs engine. So we've got the engine off, we can service this up and get to everything. We can even drain the oil from underneath or tip it over, I guess, as soon as it's off. And we've got a deck to work on, so we're going to clean this off. We'll get the Karcher pressure washer out, we'll take all this off underneath, wire brush this and get it perfect, and we'll put some paint on underneath. I think I've got some Hammerite paint which I'll use underneath. I think it's white, but it doesn't even matter. And the main thing to do when you paint this is make sure you get these edges here, because this is where they rot through on the curve here. So that's the job for tomorrow, cleaning that up. We'll start on servicing this engine. Okay, so luckily I've got this cheap plastic bench and there's a hole in the centre that's supposed to be for like a parasol, but I basically use it for dropping the shaft straight under down the gap, so this sort of lies a bit level. So what I'm going to do is clean this up. Got some of this just degreaser spray here, so I'm just going to give it all a really good spray around. We'll take everything apart and we'll put this all back together. Yeah, so let's give it a really good spray up. We'll just leave these for 5 minutes when we have a nice cup of tea, can't we? And we'll come back, get this airline and blow most of this off. We'll take the recoil cover off, have a look and check what's inside it, getting the old grass out. We'll take this snapped exhaust guard off, give it a bit more of a spray, mate, and we'll make sure we get in. Try and get in under this cab. In fact, you can get a flathead screwdriver, mate, if you want to take the air filter off, and then we'll be able to see all the springs and linkages inside this carb, won't we? So we're going to get in there. I'm not really sure whether to do the diaphragm and gasket because it's running nice, this, and chances are it's probably got an original one in it. So I might leave that and just clean everything else up, because the ones I've got at the minute I think they're aftermarket ones, but they're from a while ago and I had a really regular supplier who did a good job of these. So I'm going to take this off and we'll have a look in here underneath and just have a look at these springs and linkage and just see what sort of state we're in. So we can give all that a good spray up. We'll try not to get it down that hole too much. We'll just go around the edge on the springs and linkages, and all underneath here where it all gets dirty, and we'll leave that for a few minutes just to soak in. We'll get most of this dirt off before we start taking this apart. So while we're waiting, we might as well get this exhaust guard off as well. We'll unscrew this. Seen a lot of these that have split over the years. They always tend to split at the back, which is all a bit weird. I don't really know. I think it's just a weak point and they get hot, and over time they just split. So we'll carefully taking this out, so we don't want to damage the threads in here. As I've said before, these are really easy to damage the threads. Well, there we go, that's the exhaust guard off. Right, so let's get the back end of this exhaust guard off as well. I'll just take this off here like this. Get rid of all that out of the way and put our parts in this parts tray so we don't lose them, look.
On that one?
Yeah, we don't lose anything, do we? And I'll take this exhaust off as well, and I'll show you what's behind here. So if you want to get the exhaust off on one of these, what you need to do is just bend these tabs back just a little bit. I'm just going to demo it, but basically somebody's already been in here and taken this off for some reason, because I can already kind of get the socket on. So what you do is bend these little tabs back so you can get your socket on, and you can undo all this. And you can take these out, drop the exhaust off. Now you don't really need to do this, but just because I want to degrease everything, I want to get to this side of here. I want to clean all this off. And if you look in there, you can see actually all the internal parts here. And if you take this little door off here, you can actually see the valves inside. And if you needed to, you can grind these, but I wouldn't really recommend it. It's something I've tried to do before. The clearance really should stay exactly where it is on an engine like this flathead engine. Right, so let's grab this 10mm again. We'll take this recoil cover off. We'll just grab this, save all our parts. We'll see what sort of mess we've got underneath. Right, so you can probably lift that off now, and everything will be revealed underneath, won't it? You might have to pull that quite hard because the oil thing gets stuck, so you can pull it a bit.
There we go.
There you go. See all this grass in here? Let's just look at all this down the back of here. This is the sort of thing where, because these are like cooling fins, if you don't clean this out, what can happen, look at all that down the back of there as well, all that mess down the back of there, look. What can happen is they can overheat easily, because the only way they've got to cool down is these cooling fins. So I'm going to take loads of bits off this and get all this muck out of here, make sure everything's clean. This can kind of cool down as it's supposed to do. There's actually leaves all over everything, so we'll have a really good look in here. Right, so we need to just blow off as much of this muck as we can out of here. So with this exhaust off, we can get in with the airline as well and clean all this off as well. Right, so we're going to take this carb off and this tank just so we can get in, give this a proper clean. Right, so let's get this off the 13mm socket. We'll pull that out of there. We'll drop this carbon tank off here. Right, let's grab this spacer up here. I'll put that in the metal tray. I use it so I don't lose my bits. I'm going to pull this off here like this. Let's just get this off, wriggle this off, put that out of the way. We can give that a separate clean, can't we? I want to keep hold of these bits as well so I don't lose them at the back of the carb. Should be a white one as well. Where's the white one gone? Oh, it's still on there, look, where it always is. Let's take that off, and even look at that. Look how dirty everything is. We'll take that off as well. And again, if you can just see in here, look at all this covering the cooling fins. Right, so while I'm here, I'll take off this trapdoor here and I'll show you what's inside here. There's no £10 notes, no prizes to be won, and really, if I'm honest, not really much reason to go in here. Yeah, so let's have a look in here. So take this off in here. You can see here where the valves actually go. I'll move this part out of the way for you. Let's just move that somewhere. You can see this is where the valves are, and the springs and everything. You can see you've got some oil, well, you've got some oil, we've got some oil leaking out of here, which we're going to change. So it actually looks quite clean on the stick, but obviously there you can see it really does want changing. So that's what's inside there, just in case you've ever wondered. So just because we do things and show everything, mistakes that we make as well on the channel, I forgot to put this back on. This actually sits here behind this trapdoor here, so you've got to push that in there and then put the screw in and then tighten it back up. Then without this part, you see, this is actually here to hold this cable around here to stop it getting caught down the side under the recoil cover or underneath here. And you must try and put these wires in these clips as well. So under here you can actually get a socket in here, without anything on the end of it, and you can actually undo this and drain the oil out of these. So we'll put that in there. This is much easier to do on the mower because you've got the engine that stays in the same place, and you can see I've got all this kind of draining out the back of it just to film this demo really, but you can undo that. You can see the threads. If you do that, what you can normally do if you've got any oil left in it is it all drops out the bottom and you can drain this from the underside, but I never do this. I always have an extractor. In fact, I'll show you the extractor I've got now. Where have we put it, mate? I've had one of these before, it lasted a couple of years. So this is a 500mm extractor. You can basically just drop this in down the top of here, pull this like this, it sucks 500ml of oil out. So I'm going to extract all this out this tub here with it, just to clean and tidy everything up like this. I'm not going to film all of this, but I'm going to basically put a new pull cord rope on it. Seeing as it's for me, I might as well do this. So you've seen me do this, it's on loads of videos. Basically a case of winding this against the spring tension till all this cord's out, clamping this and then putting another one in. Burn the ends of this cord as well, it'll help you get it back through. I'm just finishing this off now, just for anyone who's not done this before. You can probably just see, leave the clamp on, put that hand on first for the handle, which is actually broken. I'm going to put a new one on there. I'll swap it off our other mower. Get everything lined up so it pulls through. Basically put a knot in the end of here and pull it tight, and then just let go of the clamp and let the spring tension take up this rope. I've shown it on so many videos, I just don't want to film the whole process. I think if you can go back to the last video, you'll see it. In fact, I've got a dedicated video on it, haven't I? There's a picture of me on the thumbnail, like squinting, holding a recoil cover up or something. I'll put that in there. At this point, make sure your hands are quite clean, because I always tend to make a mess of this. I let this wind back in here, my hands are always covered in oil and petrol and all sorts, and it looks filthy again. I'll do that, take that off. We'll just let this go back in here slowly, take up this tension again. Look at that, we weren't far off there, were we? The other thing I'm going to do is, inside here, these little white bits that stick out. I had a lawnmower once where someone said the piston had snapped, because when they pulled it over, it was just pulled over really easy, like this. And they said it had snapped, and all that happened is these white parts in here had stuck and they were engaging with the top of this here. So basically it was just pulling without actually turning the engine. So what I'm going to do out this off is I'm going to give this a little bit of a spray out with WD-40 before I put it back on. Right, so we're just putting this back together. Well, you are, aren't you, mate? But we've got this on, and this moves left and right, but this just doesn't feel right. So if you've ever done this is like, it should go loose. It's really springy, so we're going to take this recoil cover off and just have a look and see what the problem can be. Right, so let's lift this recoil cover off and have a look. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Ah, look at this, look, there's the problem. Look at this. When we put this back on, look. Oh, yeah. You see? We've got to be so careful, so we've obviously bent that. Yeah. And that's touching it, so we need to make sure that this can open and close. You see how easy this moves around now? Yeah. Just missing it, isn't it? So we're good there, aren't we? We've got a gap. Yeah, so we'll drop this back on and make sure. That's right, I don't think I've ever done that before. That's a really good little tip, isn't it? Because even though it was moving left and right okay, this the governor flap was still being obstructed. Right, so let's retighten this slot and let's check this again. Right, so let's check this. You see how this kind of bounces now? It didn't do that before. It did move left and right, but it didn't kind of have that bounce to it. Okay, so we're going to put this engine back on here now. What we've done for this is we've taken off the petrol tank because we've got no petrol now. We've got no oil, so we can tip this on the side, which makes this a lot easier to access the underneath and bolt everything back on. Right, so ideally this still needs a little bit more of a paint up. What I might do is you can get some Hammerite smooth black and it actually matches this really well. So I think I'll get myself a tin of that and I'll probably just redo some of this. But for now at least it's got some sort of barrier between any wet grass and the actual metal on the deck. So we've bolted these back through. The easiest way to do this is to take off the petrol tank and take off the exhaust guard. One person holds these bolts at the other side around here. with a 13mm socket and the one underneath, and there's a reason that's not on right, and one holds on this side and tightens it up. Now the reason that this one isn't on right is because if we've got that belt guard down there, that belt guard has to go back on yet, and it actually designs to go through here. Of course I can't put the belt guard on yet because I've got to put the belt on and this blade adapter, so we're going to do that first. So I actually had a look for a new belt on I think it was on eBay or wherever, and this is the one that came off. I think this is the one that came off the one the guy I bought off for 20 quid or whatever it was. You see it's got no teeth in it here, but it looks like the ones that you can buy that are new have these little grooves in, these teeth in, so I'm going to use that. This is my blade, which is significantly bigger widthways this way than the one I took off the other one as well, which is now this one. So I'm going to use this. This is my blade. It's only a couple of years old, this. It's not really done much work, so I'm going to sharpen that up. I don't wanted to use a new blade adapter, but unfortunately the one I've got in the garage left, the pins don't align with this hole, so I'm going to use this one. It's got both pins on, and this blade will fit nicely on here and hold this in position. So I'm going to sharpen this blade up. I'm going to put another keyway in here. I'm going to put this actual belt on, put everything back together. So to do this and make it easier, what I want one of these keyways out the back cave here, and I want to sit this in the top of this shaft here where you can see actually sits in, I think it's the bottom part there, and because I've got this tipped up with no oil, no fuel in it, I can turn this round. And if you can't turn this, you just need to connect up this cable I took off before that connects there. So I've just pushed this cable in just so I can pull the handle and turn the shaft. And if you do this with this facing upwards, with a keyway facing upwards, it's much less likely to drop out while you're trying to get the blade adapter in and the belt on. The other thing I've noticed is where the chap had the belt guard before, he's obviously tried to patch this up. There's a bit of metal across here, and then he's got like all sorts of different bolts going on here, so we're going to take these out. We might actually have to use some bigger ones ourselves to put this on, but we'll take a look at that in a second. So what I've got here is a little blade balancing tool. These are really cheap, and it's not so critical on these mowers that are quite small, but you've wire brushed this off, haven't you, to make it nice and clean. But the idea of this is you drop it on and it gives you the balance. So if you've got one hand hanging down here, you've got an unbalanced blade, so you want to kind of just do this and sharpen this up until it's even both edges. Like you can see there, I've got that, I would say that's balanced. So if you've got one of these for larger mowers with larger cuts and really large blades, this can have a significant difference, especially if you're getting like vibrations back through the handles when you're cutting. Make sure your blade's balanced. So for a cheap little tool like this, you can balance your blades. Right, so let's put this back together. I've got this keyway here, I'm going to put that in there, and then I've got the belt here which I'm going to hook on the back of here. So I'm going to try and put this on from the back here and push this through like this, because what you've got here is you've got spring tension here. There's an actual spring tension on these pulleys, so I'm going to push this through from the back just to get it started, and then bend this underneath with my fingers like that and push this on. So I've got this on at the back, so that's now on at the back. Right, so let's have a go at getting this blade adapter on. What I'm going to do with this, I'm just going to give this a bit of a clean off first. The WD-40 can's not playing ball really, but what I want to do is just make sure that this slides on easy. This is a bit of a different style blade adapter to the one I showed you on the other video with loads of different cutouts. So what I'm going to do with this is push this on here, and I'm going to try and line this notch here at the top before I even start, and pull this against the spring tension and slide that on. As you can see, I've slid that on, but this keyway's dropped out, so you can take a few goes this, but you must make sure that the keyway's there, because otherwise it won't work properly obviously. So I've got to try and get this off now. So I'm going to get a hammer now. I'm just going to lever this out of here, take this back off. Right, so it's a good job I WD'd it, because it's still quite difficult to get off. So I'm going to get this keyway again, put this in here. Let's have another go at this. Let's have another go. Let's see if this one will go on. It's like coins dropping out, isn't it? I wish it was money. Right, so let's just try that another time, and this time it looks like we've got this. I'm just going to bang this on here. Don't want to break these pins off, but we'll tap that back. We've got this on, so we've got this belt on here, round the back pulley, round the front pulley, the blade adapter back on with the keyway. One mistake I used to make a lot at this point was putting this blade back on, to kind of get carried away and put the blade back on. and then forget all about the guard as well. So you must put the guard on here, put that on, get everything sorted, then put the blade on. Let's have a look at what we've got going on here. We've got, looks like a 10 on here, so try and take that off. And the guy's just done this to try and prop this belt guard up, this belt guard cover, which obviously didn't work really. The belt kept slipping off. And I just wonder if the belt kept coming off, you know, because it maybe chewed up the other belt and he'd found this one, which doesn't look correct to me. So the chap who's had this has put one through here, and he's actually put something in here as well to hold this metal part on here, which kind of won't work, so this all needs to come off as well. So I need to just tap that out of there and get this bolt out of here. I've got this one out of here. It's been, the guy who had this would have been better off buying a belt and a belt guard. It'd have probably cost him about 15 quid on eBay and it'd have been good to go. So let's just take all this rubbish off here. Alright, so we've got all this kind of rubbish off that shouldn't be here. This actually bolts on there, as I mentioned earlier. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put that over there. We're going to find some decent holes at the back of here and line everything up. And we're going to put some of our old screws through here and put this back on. So I've got one part on one side and I've got my drill at the other side. I'm going to hold this. Just tighten that back up. And then we've got this where we want it. You must make sure the back side of this is at the far side of the belt. And we're going to align this as good as we can. And we're going to get some screws of our own here and just line everything up and put this back in. Now let's put some decent sized screws through here. Obviously make sure you miss the belt when you're doing this, which I have. So I can get them out easily again when I need to because I've got decent heads on them. We've tightened this back up and I've moved this. It was just catching on there. I don't know if that bolt was a bit long. But that's all nice and tidy on there and it's stopping the grass coming through. And if we keep a good eye on this, it shouldn't get too much grass under there and let anything come off. Although I do think there is a bit of plastic missing. It's my own mower this. I'm going to clean this out regularly, so I'm going to leave that and put this blade on. So we'll now pop this blade back on and that's the underside done. Now we've got this blade sharpened and balanced up. I'm going to drop this on here, on these pins, put this bolt back in here. We've got the best blade here. Don't forget what we're doing here is making the best mower available for me. So I've got the best blade on here. I've got this belt guard on underneath, got it painted up, and I've got this kind of as good as I need it for me. So all I'm going to do now is, now this is on these pins, is I'm going to tighten this blade bolt up. So make sure your fingers are out of the way. This ain't going to spin around on you, but just as good practice, never have your hand underneath when you're tightening one of these back up. And obviously make sure the spark plug's removed. So that's as tight as it needs to be. It's on the pins, we've got the belt on, the belt guard cover. We've got this blade adapter on and a nice sharp and balanced blade, and that's the underside of this mower finished. I'm just going to check around here, make sure there's no grass. I can get out around here just little bits before I turn this back over. So we're just checking a few things. We've just put this carbon tank back on. I'm going to check that, make sure the fuel fires across there nice, which it does. Make sure there's no splits in this primer bulb. We've put these two bolts on tight. We're going to just put the exhaust guard on as well. What we did is we took this off so we could tip it up. And on this side there's good access to this bolt, but on the other side if you put the exhaust on it's really quite difficult to get to the bolts, so we took the exhaust guard off again just to be give us easier access to get in there. So we're just going to pop this lot back on. Right, we've got a couple of handy helpers here, look. We've got a couple of cats, in fact we've got three, look. We've got Crumble there. She likes sitting on the doorstep, so she likes to be outside without going outside. And we've got Jersey here, who was the original cat. Anyway, Dave's going to take the spark plug off here. I can probably get that off now with your fingers, mate, I reckon. And then he's going to swap it over for a nice clean one that we've found. I'm running out of these, but my mower, I want a nice clean plug in there, so we're going to pop that in. Just do it hand tight, you know, don't you? And then just nip it up a little bit, don't you? That's all we need to do. So we'll have that job done as well. That's nice and easy. That's enough. That's tight. Where's Mower Cat going? Where are you going? Where on earth are you going? Yeah, this is the original Mower Cat. Goodbye. What about you? Are you coming out to get some sockets out? Mower Cat too. So David's been told by Mower Woman to put his DIY jumper on, haven't you? You had your best jumper on, didn't you? Yeah, these cats sometimes come in useful just for mopping up this oil, don't they? It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Right, so we're going to top this oil up here. This is just a container I've got. This is full of SAE 30 oil. Actually, you can buy this from an auto jumble in York. I had loads of it. So it's just in that container. We've got this funnel here. You're going to top that up at you, and we're going to put, I think it's about half a litre of oil in here. So we'll undo that and we'll top this up. Right, let's drop a bit in here. You must remember to do this if you take it out, of course. So I'll just whack a bit of this in here. Take quite a bit more than that yet, I think. There, we're alright for a minute. Right, we'll stop there and we'll see if this comes up the stick. Right, so let's just try this off. Clean that off. And screw this in. I always screw this in to check the oil level. So that's what you used to do on the old Briggs engine. So that's what I always do on here. Have a look on that stick. Yeah, we're about 3/4 of the way up. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm well happy with that. That's nice and clean. Now, this is going to smoke when we start this because we've had this tipped upside down on its side and everywhere. So we'll tighten that back up. And there's no reason really this shouldn't start. We've not done anything with the car. But I want to make sure it starts, runs. We'll get rid of all the smoke. And just basically give it a chance to settle itself down. We've hooked that cable back on there. Just have a look at that, make sure that works. We've got all this nice and cleaned off inside. So let's take this down off this desk and let's give this a try. So we've got this back together. We've got some oil in it. We've got some petrol in it. There's one little job I need to do actually. I need to properly put a pull cord handle on here. I've just noticed as well. I've screwed that down and chopped that. So what I'm just going to do before I start this up here is I'm just going to pull the plug lead off because I've put it on. I'm just going to pull this over a few times and I'll put some oil in it just to get some oil kind of splashed around this without it starting up. Just make sure this should fire some oil around before we start this up. I just want some oil going everywhere it should kind of go before we start this. So let's put this lead back on. If you ever get one of these and you've had it tipped up and you can't pull the starter up, you can't pull this, it's because oil is trapped between the piston head and the end of the cylinder, and it's called hydrolocking. If you ever get that, take the plug off, pull it over without the plug in, you'll get a lot of oil spurt out the front, and then put the plug back in and then try it and it'll unlock itself and it'll make it so you can pull this over. So let's try this mower. That starts and runs nice and even. There's a bit of smoke, but for me that's just running a little bit too fast, so I'm going to show you how to slow that down now. So you should always really do this without the mower running. I've seen people do it when it is running as well, and I've done it if I'm honest, but for the sake of the video I'm going to show you what to do. You see this little tab here, you bend that towards the operator like that, so the springs don't stretch quite as much, and that should slow it down. I'll pop this back on and we'll give this another try. That's running a bit quick for me. It doesn't need to run that fast. And another thing to note is with these, the faster the engine's running, the faster the drive goes as well. So if you've got one you're kind of chasing along like Norman Wisdom, you might want to slow the engine down a bit and give yourself half a chance of keeping up with the mower across your garden. Of course, if you've got a bigger garden and a mower that's only this size with a 46cm cut, you might want it a bit quicker. You might want it to cut a bit quicker, and you might want it to go along a bit quicker with a self-drive. And therefore, you could speed it up a little bit. But I would recommend not doing too much of that. They are designed to run at a certain speed and a certain temperature, so as to not damage the engine. So for mine, I'm going to slow this down a little bit. There we go, that's running a little bit slower. I might even slow that down a little bit more, but we've got a really nice even mower. We've got the self-drive working on the back. One other thing I just need to do as well is I need to just refit the trap down on the back here and put that back on. I need to get a proper handle on here. We're going to give this a clean up, and this is pretty much done. Right, so we're just giving this a final clean up. You can see here, this is the other one, which I've got some work to do on yet. So we're just giving this a go. Let's just show this on here, David. This is like an American product, I think, called Goo Gone. And it's really, really good for getting stickers off anything. Like if you've got stickers on glass, that's enough, but if you've got stickers on glass in the house and you can't get it off, you spray this and leave it a few minutes, it literally just scrapes away. So we're just doing some final tidying up on this. Hopefully you can just see, I mean, this should be in better condition really, but this is going to be a much nicer mower for me to use and probably get another 10 years out of this. So let's clean that off and we'll show you just how well this product works. Right, so we've only left that about 30 seconds, but let's give that a bit of a scrape. See how easy that comes off. Look at that. Nice and easy, nice and clean. No point keeping that sticker on the top of there. We're just going to clean this off with a bit of blue roll and just keep scraping over. You literally can't get this sort of stuff off without anything else, so this is a really good little product. I think I got it off Amazon. I'll just show it close up. But it's really, really effective. It does the job. Not many things you buy like that you really trust, do you? But recommended from me. This kind of melts all this adhesive off. It does a really nice job. And just because he's a good guy, I've taken my mixed mower sticker off the glass in my garage, and it's going to take pride of place on here because we all love the channel. He's just one of the good guys, is Mick. If you've not seen the channel, mixed mowers, get yourself over there and subscribe. So just because he's one of the good guys and he's helped me out loads and loads of times, he's even sent me a couple of parts for things without even asking for anything. That's going to take pride of place on the old Mountfield SP470. So there we go. No profit in this one, but I have got myself a nice looking lawnmower to last me the next few years. I'm going to chuck a few bits on this one now. I'll probably just give this away to someone I know, to be honest with you. Somebody who's just maybe moved into a house or someone I work with or whatever, so it'll be good for someone. Start some runs and cuts. I'll sharpen the blade up and I'll find an exhaust guard for this as well. But I've had this a lot of years, I'm sure you can see why. I just wanted to kind of upgrade, and I still really like these mowers compared to the modern ones as well. They're just a really nice size. The other ones I really thought I'd like as well are the McAllister ones, but they're really heavy. The decks are very good, but they're very heavy. So I really like these for the weight and the size and the engine. Really simple to work on, so I'm happy with that. And although no profit, it's all worked out well. And thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so and leave me a comment. I like to read all the comments on the new videos I put out, and I'll try to reply to all of them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.